He never forgot the way his teacher looked at him that day, like he was a disappointment wrapped in skin. One sentence, cold, almost casual, cut deeper than anything he'd heard before. And for years, he believed it. Until the day he didn't. Here's a story that might change the way you see criticism and the quiet strength hiding inside you. His name was Hamza. 19, quiet. The kind of quiet that made people think he wasn't trying. He wasn't dumb, he wasn't lazy. He just carried a tiredness that didn't show on tests or assignments. The tiredness of someone who grew up hearing he was almost good enough, but not quite. School was never a place he loved. Desks felt like cages, teachers felt like judges, and every ticking classroom clock reminded him how far behind he thought he was. But there was one class, one teacher, who made everything worse without even realizing it. It happened on a hot afternoon, when the fans squeaked louder than the students. Hamza had stayed up the whole night helping at his father's small shop, then rushed to school at dawn with barely 2 hours of sleep. He handed in an assignment. Rushed, messy, not his best. He knew it wasn't perfect, but he also knew he had tried. The teacher didn't see that. She held his notebook between 2 fingers, like it was something spoiled. "Hamza," she said, loud enough for everyone to hear, "you're not the type who'll ever get far. Some people are made for big things. You're not one of them." The class went quiet. A few students glanced at him with pity. Others smirked. Hamza just stood there, feeling something collapse inside his chest. So quietly, you'd think nothing happened. He didn't cry, didn't argue, didn't defend himself. He just sat down. And for the first time, he believed someone else's judgment more than his own possibilities. That one sentence followed him home, followed him to bed, followed him everywhere. It became a shadow, whispering every time he thought of trying something new. "You're not made for anything big." Weeks passed. His confidence sank so low that even small tasks felt heavy. He'd start something, then hear her voice, and stop. But life has strange ways of showing us what we refuse to see. One evening, as he was closing the shop with his father, he saw a little child, maybe 7, trying to tie his shoelaces. The knot kept slipping. The boy kept trying. Hamza crouched down to help, but the boy stopped him. "No," he said, frustrated. "I want to do it myself." It took him 10 minutes, a lot of failed loops, but then, finally, the knot tightened. The boy looked up with a proud smile. "I did it. See? I can do things too." Such a small moment. But something in Hamza cracked open, in a good way. If a child could believe in himself even after 10 failed tries, why couldn't he? That night, for the first time in weeks, he sat with himself and asked the hard question no one teaches you to ask. Why am I letting someone else decide my limits? Her words weren't truth. They were just words. Sharp, careless, unkind, but still just words. He decided that night he wouldn't let her voice be the one building his future. He didn't transform overnight, no dramatic montage, just small steps, painfully small ones. He started waking up earlier, started reading more, started learning skills. He always thought he wasn't smart enough for, not to prove her wrong, but to prove to himself that he had more inside him than anyone ever saw. Months turned into a year. He didn't become the top student, or the genius kid, or the one teachers bragged about during meetings. But he became something more powerful. A young man who refused to give up on himself. And here's the part no one talks about. Sometimes the people who break your confidence are the same people who accidentally build your strength. One morning, during an exam result ceremony, he saw that same teacher again. She looked through the lists, surprised at the improvement beside his name. "You've changed," she said softly. Hamza smiled, not out of pride, but out of understanding. "I didn't change," he replied. "I just stopped believing what wasn't true." She didn't say anything after that, but something in her eyes softened. Later, walking home, he realized something important, something bigger than grades, teachers, or classrooms. He wasn't working for approval anymore. He wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. He was simply becoming the version of himself he always wished he could be. Not because she doubted him, but because he finally believed he didn't have to doubt himself. And that is the quiet, powerful shift every person goes through at some point. The moment when someone's harsh words stop being a curse and start becoming fuel. Not everyone has a supportive teacher. Not everyone grows up hearing they're capable. Many people, like Hamza, grow up hearing the opposite. But the truth is simple. You don't need applause to rise. You don't need permission to grow. You don't need someone to believe in you first. Sometimes, all you truly need is a moment where you get tired of believing the wrong story about yourself. And then, slowly, privately, without fanfare, you begin rewriting it, step by step, day by day, failure by failure, until one morning you look at who you've become and realize you didn't get here despite the harsh words. You got here because you used them as fuel. In the end, he learned that no one can define your future unless you hand them the pen.